I am very nervous to make this video. What's up, Lego builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios. Now, I have been itching to build a Minban MOC for a very long time now, but I didn't know how I wanted to make or format that video. At the same time, I've also been wanting to do another MOC challenge video where I do a price limit instead of a time limit. And I had a big brain moment and decided to combine the two ideas into one video. So today I'm going to be building 3 different Minban MOCs at 3 different price points, one at $10, $50, and $100. The reason I'm so nervous to make this video is because Minban is a very dark, murky, muddy planet, and so the best color to use to represent all of that is reddish brown, and Lego's reddish brown plate in particular is super brittle and prone to cracking. So with 3 different Minban MOCs being built today, I am very fearful for my reddish brown collection. But you guys have been wanting a Minban MOC, I've been wanting a Minban MOC, so let's get on with it. I'm going to start with the $10 limit, which is the hardest one. This video, while similar to my timed MOC challenge videos, is much easier to do because building a MOC with a certain amount of money/pieces, while hard, is much easier than doing one with a time limit in my opinion. Because I can really take my time to make sure I'm maximizing the usefulness of each piece, and I can tear stuff up and start over. I'm going to go with a freeform base for this one because I want the edge of the MOC to double as the frame. That way I don't have to use up part of my budget on black brick and tile. So if you find yourself with a limited budget and part collection, I would recommend practicing with freeform for smaller MOCs. I'm just going to use a bunch of wedge plates and plate to create a somewhat rounded bottom layer to this MOC, and then build smaller layers of a similar shape on top of that to make a little misshapen pyramid of a base. This is a good way to create a small natural looking hill or terrain. I'm going to add some large energy pylons to help add some detail and somewhat of a story to this MOC, so I want to keep the top of this build fairly flat. One thing to keep in mind with these MOCs is Minban is a very flat, muddy, and desolate world, so there aren't a whole lot of interesting terrain detailing or familiar structures or buildings I can add. That is why I made the 2 energy pylons, because most of what we see on Minban is military bases and structures, so I thought these would make sense and seem familiar. Plus they gave the MOC some height and something to help tell a story other than just terrain and a minifig. This MOC came in just under $10 at $9.70. The $50 MOC is going to be even more fun. Now when I give you a price limit for these MOCs, I'm not hitting it exactly, it's more of a rough estimate as it's really hard to gauge how many parts I will need to use to get close to the limit. And I miscount how many of a certain piece I'm using, and I'm using general prices for each piece, but I do try to be within a couple dollars of the limit. Anyways, because I have more money to spend on this one, I'm going to start by adding a nice black frame of brick and tile. And then I'm also going to build a trench wall on one end. I don't want to build the trench floor, so I'm going to have the wall run directly into the black frame to make it look like the trench floor is further down. I want the trench wall to be leaning at an angle, so I'll build a plate wall with tile on it and then lean it against some 1x2x3 slopes with the top of the wall resting against the upper terrain to keep it at an angle. This means the rest of the terrain is going to need to be raised up by brick walls to the same level as the top of the trench. I really like this cutaway look with the sides below the terrain exposed. The terrain is pretty simple, just lots of wedge plates, plate, and tile stacked into mounds and hills to make the ground look churned up and muddy. Right off the bat, you can see this MOC is very different from the one you saw coming together in the time lapse. When I finished the MOC and added up the parts, I was only halfway to $50, so I had to make the MOC wider by 6 studs, which brought it closer to the limit, and then adding the ATDT walker and taking out the explosion brought me within range of the limit at $51. I was really annoyed by this though because it ruined the surprise of the walker, which I was going to show you in the 3rd MOC, so I'll save what I want to say about the walker until then. These problems aside, I love this MOC. It depicts Imperial forces about to charge enemy lines, leaving the safety of their own side. While still on the small side, it has some interesting details and techniques to look at. The trench turned out just as I had hoped, but illegal building technique alert. I stuck some 1x2 hinge bars in between the exposed studs on the wall to create a ladder to get out of the trench. I threw in some small barricades/fences as infantry defenses to protect the soldiers in the trenches. It just felt like something you would see on the front lines. The $100 MOC is going to be a more complete version of the previous one. I'm going to add more of the front lines and completed trench with walls and floor, with terrain on both sides of the trench. I'm running dangerously low on reddish brown brick, so I decided to make the bottom half of the walls of the MOC dark bluish gray, and the top part reddish brown to represent bedrock or stone underneath the mud and dirt. I added pyramid-shaped stacks of dark bluish gray plate to create slopes and little pyramids underneath the reddish-brown brick to build what look like natural rock formations underneath the terrain. I'm going to use the same trench design as well, angled plate walls sitting on top of sloped brick, and the floor will be tiled off with a couple rows of light bluish gray tiles thrown in to add some detail. Once the floor is in, I can add the trench walls. Now it's time to talk walkers. The AT-DT is an artillery walker seen in the movie Solo during the Battle of Minban. I was looking for a custom design that wouldn't be too big but still had a good amount of detail, and I came across this model which was created and designed by Lego Provo Bricks, and it checked all the boxes. If you want to build this walker for yourself, I put a link to his video in the comments. It's a pretty simple and easy to build design and doesn't cost very much. However, there are a couple of detail pieces on the legs that are very fragile and break off easily, and it tends to lean forward and down. So if you want to position the barrel upwards, you have to raise the whole body. I'm also low on reddish brown plate, so I'm going to try using some medium nougat instead to experiment with a different color of mud and dirt to help break up the sea of reddish brown. I think with how muddy, wet, and changing and dynamic the terrain is on Minban, there are probably different consistencies and colors of mud and dirt on the ground. Full disclosure, I mostly just guessed with the cost of this MOC. However, it is just over twice the size of the $50 one, includes the AT-DT, and has pretty much the same level of terrain detailing as the previous one. So I figured it would be around $100. I really like the look of the dark bluish gray rock underneath the reddish brown. It makes the sidewalls look a lot more interesting and helped me get away with using hardly any brown brick. I think my favorite thing about this MOC is the trench. Being able to see the floor and back wall this time makes it look so much better, and I don't really get to build trenches or foxhole type builds very often, so it was a new experience for me. Still really liking the walker. Lego Provo Bricks really did a good job, and the total price for me to build it was only $16 to $18, so it's pretty affordable. I was all out of Minban troopers, so I had to use some normal stormtroopers, but I figured there were probably some present somewhere. This might be my new favorite way to build explosions. It's super easy and doesn't require a whole lot of parts and looks realistic. The patches of medium nougat among the dark brown add some nice color and detail to the terrain, although it is a little bit bright, so next time I might try dark orange as the highlight color. I didn't know how much I was going to enjoy building these MOCs and making this video until I started. Minban is such a step away from the type of stuff I normally build in color, shape, and style, and I realized one very big thing. I really want to build a giant Minban MOC. The reason this place and campaign appeal to me so much is because I'm a huge fan of World War II. I've studied it extensively in the past, and I love World War II MOCs. This battle and planet gave me huge World War I and World War II vibes, from the trenches, tank barriers, and giant artillery guns to the chaos of the battles and the dreary atmosphere. So building Minban MOCs allowed me to stick to the Star Wars theme and stuff I normally do, but also satisfy that burning desire to build a World War II MOC. So stay tuned for a possible Minban series in the future. I hope this video gave you all a good idea of what kind of MOCs are possible under a certain budget, and don't forget to let me know which one was your favorite down below in the comments, and I will catch you guys next time, but until then, happy building.